Use CO2. Don't use CO2. Use CO2. Don't use CO2. Which one is it? In order to decide that, take a look at this. Imagine this scale is your tank, and our main objective is not exceed over 50 grams. Going over will result with tank failure. So far, there are already elements weighing it down. We're already quite close to our limit. So, should we add this item which represents CO2? To answer that, let's take a look into the role of CO2 in aquatic plant growth. Hey, wait, stop, don't add that yet! Every single plant undergoes a process called photosynthesis. This takes CO2, water, light, and turns it into sugar for the plants to eat. However, in an underwater environment, things are a little different. There obviously isn't too much CO2 in the water compared to the atmosphere. So adding CO2 will give your aquarium plants a performance boost. It helps them grow faster and healthier. But what about those no CO2 needed aquariums? Some plants such as starworts have adapted to use bicarbonate, another form of carbon, to supplement for when CO2 levels are low. Let's jump right into the pros. As mentioned before, CO2 is a main ingredient in photosynthesis. This might not only lead to healthier, faster growing plants, but also helps in controlling algae, as thriving, healthy plants will outcompete algae for nutrients. There's also a physical aspect when it comes to CO2 injection. When the oxygen concentration in the water reaches the maximum, excess oxygen produced through photosynthesis will be visible in the form of bubbles, also known as purling. This is also the main reason why I don't use any bubblers in any of my planted tanks. There's no need to if the tank is fully optimized. CO2 can also lower pH levels in the water, which may be beneficial for certain fish and plant species. However, that can also be a downside. Overly acidic water can be harmful to livestock and lead to rapid pH fluctuations, especially at night when plants aren't photosynthesizing. Since plants release CO2 and intake oxygen during the night, if you have no way of controlling the CO2 injection system, it can lead to excess CO2 levels. These levels can lead to livestock gasping for air at the surface or even suffocating to death. CO2 systems are also very expensive if you want a really good system. Yeah, you can go down the DIY route, but this will eventually eat up more costs as you need to constantly purchase the ingredients. There are ways to make things cheaper with paintball or soda stream canisters, but that can still cost a lot, especially here in Canada. And remember that weight limit that we said at the beginning? And our main objective is not exceed over 50 grams. If you're not careful with balancing CO2 levels alongside lighting and nutrients, we risk tipping the scale, thus leading to poor plant health and an algae takeover. While CO2 injection is a popular method for promoting plant growth in aquariums, it's not the only option. Many hobbyists opt for low-tech plants like Anubias and Java Fern that don't require high levels of CO2. There are a multitude of videos on YouTube from amazing channels such as MD Fish Tanks, George Farmer, and Green Aqua, just to name a few, that go over the exact methods of how to set up a beautiful low-tech aquarium better than I can. Not like I'm jealous or anything. Liquid carbon like Seachem XL are often used as an alternative, but it's crucial to understand that these are not direct substitutes for CO2. They primarily act as biocides that control algae. Fish waste can also serve as a natural nutrient source when broken down. This is one of the main concepts when it comes to wall-stat or no-filter dirted setups. However, each one of these alternatives comes with its own set of pros and cons. What works for one tank may not work for another. Every tank is different. Your aquarium is shaped by the plants you choose, the equipment you use, and the goals you set. You might find that CO2 isn't necessary for the vision you have for it, and that's perfectly fine. The beauty of this hobby lies in the myriad of options available to create your dreamscape. So, after all we've discussed, is CO2 worth the hassle? I'll let you decide. And if you do choose to use CO2, check out this video where I go over the importance of balancing your CO2 levels.